It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Alt Playground. APG is more than just a place to find couples to swap with. Alt Playground is a lifestyle community for all non-monogamous and sexually adventurous people to connect and share. And you know I started a profile. Join me over at altplayground.net. That's altplayground.net. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Impeach me, Daddy. Impeach me so hard. What's up, everybody? This is Billy Presida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Shout out to the Zoom Zaddies, to the Discord Doms, to the Twitter Titties. Welcome. This week on the podcast, I have got on dominatrix Justine Cross. But first, I've done it. I've taken the plunge. I'm there. I am a millennial grasping for relevance on TikTok. And it's fucking bad, everybody. Not my TikToks. I think I nailed the silhouette challenge. I'm talking about, I've been on this platform for like 6 days. And I have so many TikTok sounds stuck in my head. Billy, you got songs stuck in your head? Oh no, I wish I had a song stuck in my head. I have sounds stuck in my head. I have Dwight from The Office, a show I've never even really watched. But I've got his voice in my head going, could be 1 month, could be 2 months, could be 4 months. I think that's a realistic timeline. You know what I'm talking about there? At least when you had a song stuck in your head, you've got like a solid verse, maybe a chorus, maybe you got a couple verses and a chorus. Maybe your mind goes through the entire song as it's stuck in your head. That sounds pleasant now. I think about once or twice an hour, I think in my head, can't make a wife out of a hoe. No, see, like, but I'm there. And the frustrating part about being on TikTok, after mocking TikTok, after even being frustrated with how to make a TikTok, it is kind of fun. I like dancing. I like being silly. Gen Z, what have you done to me? But anyways, yes, I am on TikTok, and you can go follow me at the Billy Presida. I'm gonna attempt to keep it a little more on the PG-13 side of things, because apparently TikTok is not the friendliest to the sexual stuff. So much so that sex workers who are on TikTok, they have created their own trend. And I've mentioned this on the show before, but like, sex worker speak is genius. So the next genius sex worker speak trend, it's on TikTok, and it's them all calling themselves accountants. I have never asked someone what they did for a living and heard them say, I'm an accountant, and ever had a follow-up question. I've never asked. I've never even tried to relate. I've never tried to understand. I've never pretended to care. When I talk to someone who is an accountant and they look me in the eye and they say, I'm an accountant, we both have a mutual understanding that there is no reason for this discussion to go further unless I too am an accountant. And I think that's hilarious that they've figured out a way to end all conversations about their sex work by just being like, I'm an accountant. Can we move on? Because I don't want to talk about being a big old hoe right now, especially on a platform that may heavily suppress me for doing so. So shout out to all the accountants out there listening. You're doing great work. Before I get to this week's guest, Justine Cross, we haven't done one of these in a while. I got an email queue. I got an email question that I thought was actually a good one that I thought might resonate with other listeners out there. So we're gonna read this. And it reads as thus: Hi, Billy. I am a straight, cisgender man who has had no desire to date, love, or even fuck men ever in my life. However, sometimes, and seemingly more so recently, I find high femme trans women incredibly attractive, and sometimes find the idea of sucking a dick quite erotic. The man attached to that dick, if it is a dude, not so much so. I'm considering in a post-vaccine time opening my app preferences to, or even making a personals ad for, trans women. Or trying a dick or two in my mouth at a glory hole, I don't know. Or even hire a high femme trans sex worker, aka an accountant. All of these exciting ideas are swirling in my head while I just wish that my tongue was swirling around a shaft once in a while. I do not think of STDs in terms of dirty. I also can't deny that, quote, men who have sex with men and transgender people face higher rates of STDs. I'm particularly concerned about the prevalence of gonorrhea/antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea that, from what I read, is more common in those communities than others. I've tackled my fear of STDs through education and found myself less nervous, except for this, which seems to suggest I'd be factually taking a higher risk sucking a cock. Is this a fear warranted within the queer male community? Or should I just chill the fuck out and open my mouth? Sincerely curious. Now, I'm just a comedian with a fuck show. I like to recognize my limitations when I see them. So I actually reached out to a past guest of the show and someone who also gives out sex and dating advice on the regs, Zachary Zane. Y'all remember Zach Zane, right? So I hit him up. I sent this question over. This is what Zach said in response. Antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea is very rare, and from what I know, though don't quote me on it, even though I am quoting him on it, I did ask him. I was like, hey, you said don't quote me on it. Should I not quote you on it? And he's like, go ahead. So he says, antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea is very rare, and from what I know, there haven't been any cases of antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea transferred via oral sex. I've gotten regular oral gonorrhea in my mouth before. It's not a big deal at all. You go in, get antibiotics, and bam, you're on the streets sucking more dick just 7 days later. I've also sucked around 500 dicks and only gotten it once, so not bad odds. You're about a bajillion times more likely to get COVID right now than to get antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea from giving oral sex, so live a little, suck a dick, you'll be fine. If you're really worried, you can always ask them to wear a condom when you do oral, but don't be that guy. That guy sucks with a condom on. So curious. I hope that answers your question. I hope you find the resolve and the courage to go out there and just put it in your mouth. I said your motherfucking mouth. And if you too want to send me an email with your comments, your questions, your criticisms, you can send any and all of that on over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. And a shout out and thank you to Zachary Zane. His website is zacharyzane.com. He's got a weekly newsletter called Boy Slut that might interest many of you. Okay. Folks, have you checked out the Champagne Room recently? If not, I highly encourage you to connect with your fellow fan whores and sex-positive peoples and come and join us in there. What is the Champagne Room? Is our free, sex-positive, supportive, fun-as-fuck Discord server. I know the word Discord can intimidate a lot of people. It intimidated me for years, even though I had fans who were like, hey, can you start a Discord server for us? And I was always like, I don't want to have to learn a new thing. But hey, if I can learn TikTok, you can figure out Discord. But it has been so much fun chatting in there. It feels like a lot of simultaneous group chats kind of all at once because we have all these different channels, or you can think of the channels as rooms, and each room has a specific topic. Outside of our general conversation room, okay, we've got, rooms for memes, rooms for selfies, rooms to talk about music, talk about wellness, talk about politics. We have one room that is literally just it's called Pets, Pets, Pets. And as you can deduce, it's just people sharing pictures of their pets. It's a really great space. We've got discussion channels for each episode of the Man Whore podcast. And we've even got channels just for people to go seek support for things that they're struggling with. So come join us in the champagne room. See what it's all about. Go visit manwhorepod.com/Discord or click the link in the show notes and come join the conversation. Today's question of the day is just going to be, what song describes you sexually? That's what we're going to ask in there. And I can't wait to make a playlist out of that. Another way you can connect with fellow fan whores and sex positive peoples while also supporting the Man Whore podcast directly is by joining our Patreon community. Yes, we is been a blast. I told you all about Truth or Dare. We're doing another Man Whore Munch this month. All right, we got the Peep Show, which is just the only group chat you'll ever need in your life because it's just a bunch of awesome, beautiful, positive human beings sharing gifts, nudes, and compliments all day. It's like the most affirmative space I've ever been in. And it's filled with people who love the same podcast that you do, including me. Hey, I happen to love this show too. And one of those people who loves the show, one of those people in the Peep Show with us is Adrian Mata. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name pronunciation, but I do know that it was so much fun playing Truth or Dare with you, dude. I'm so glad we got to see some more of your face, and we got to get to know you a little better, and make. I think we even got you to blush at one point. So thanks for being a member of the Fan Whore community on Patreon. Thanks for joining us at last month's Man Whore Munch. That's your Fan Whore appreciation moment. Slipped it in right there. And you too can become a member of that community and support yours truly by visiting patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now for this week's guest, Justine Cross. Justine Cross, she's a professional dominatrix, longtime vet. I think she's one of the first doms that I started following on Twitter many, many years ago. She also owns a couple of dungeons out on the West Coast, or I should say owned a couple of dungeons out on the West Coast. We talk and we get into that during this episode. So let's go have a conversation with Justine Cross. I've got some really exciting news from our sponsors at altplayground.net. As many of y'all know, APG is the lifestyle site for your next non-monogamous adventure, okay? We've covered that. You know you probably belong there. Whether you're swinging, poly, generally non-monogamous, if you're into the hot wifing, cucking, kink, or maybe you just want to find someone for a threesome one time, altplayground.net, it's the site for you. And now they have announced their APG Participation Points program, where members can win one of 100 prizes, including a Sibian bundle. I know we're a Motor Bunny. I know we're a Motor Bunny family here, but I also will never tell you not to go enter your name in to win some free shit, even if it's a competitor. So, head on over to altplayground.net, make an account today, and start participating. Share something on the big wall. Connect with other members. Listen to the podcast on the platform. Join a club or a group and be entered for your chance to win. One more time, that's altplayground, altplayground.net. The Man Whore podcast is proud to be sponsored by hotmovies.com, the place to go to ethically and affordably #pay for some of your porn. Now, I've been talking about Hot Movies for years, okay? It is typically a pay-per-minute porn site, and it really gives you a lot of latitude in how to spend your money as strategically as possible, okay? Because you ultimately only end up paying for the porn that you watch, right? What you maybe didn't know is they now have Hot Movies Select Unlimited, it's really for the porn bingers listening in right now. For $24.95 a month, you get instant unlimited access to over 31,000 movies. That's over 162,000 clips. And you can watch them over and over and over again. Yeah, like the Sex Files 2, a dark XXX porn parody, right? If you really love the flick, watch it over and over again. So head on over to hotmovies.com, use promo code MANWHORE, and if you find yourself watching a whole lot of minutes in a month, go ahead and click on Select Unlimited. Seems like a good fit for you. Now let's get to the show. It opens like recognizing like this new character, Mr. Mira, this older, experienced black woman dominatrix who owns the dungeon, like all the local girls work out of. She's like scolding those two main characters. And basically calls them out on everything that sex workers are yelling on Twitter about. So I was like, okay, that's cute and like self-aware. Let's see where it goes. But then it's just like, I personally, and I know I come from a different perspective, but I was most offended that it's just like poorly written. It's just like not a good show.
Yeah, I watched, I don't even think I made it through the first season because it was just so horrible. And I just was like, I'll save that for when, I'm constipated and I have to shit my brains out. I'll just wait. And all the things were fair. And it's like, I'm glad they got someone else on the show to do, which, I mean, I would have like sent myself over like a guided missile, but it's in New York and, so that's good, but it's still just like, I mean, when it came out, it was like in the middle of like Sesta Fosta, which was like particularly like shitty and just tone deaf. And then it's like, but there
were some open wounds, like recent open wounds.
Yeah, recent open wounds. But I'm just still like, this is ridiculous that they have this show that's verified on all social media and like at a time where we're all losing our social media, and which isn't it's just like a social media purge that, fortunately includes people who are violating the terms of service in truly dangerous and terrible ways. Yes, but also sex workers. And it's like they have verified accounts, and it's like, that still really galls me. Like, because you can't ask Twitter just like grants this to you now. There's no like I mean, I think they're bringing back the verified program now, but like Stormy Daniels just lost her verified check mark.
Wait, what?
Yeah, but I don't know if she got it back. Let's look right now.
I had no idea.
Yeah, she lost her verified check mark and she's like, why did I lose my check mark? And
I'm a beloved national icon. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, she lost her blue check. Yeah.
Oh man, I'd be devastated.
Yeah, I know you still have yours. I know. Well, I'm hoping that I can get one because according to them, if you have IMDb credits, you can get it.
That's wild, but yeah, you're pointing out that like the show can have a verified account. The show gets to tweet about BDSM all willy nilly, but then if actual sex workers or even just like everyday kinksters did, they get shadow banned, they get deplatformed, they get posts taken down. Jesus, Instagram like threatened to delete my account because I posted this video where like I am joking comically unzipping my fly and taking out a microphone. And
wow.
the AI took that down, by the way. That was like an instant comes down where I'm like, really?
Yeah. You should have taken my class, Instagram for sex workers, you should take that, put that up on your OnlyFans, I'll give you a free one.
Well, we'll have to talk about the classes in a moment. But first I want to say I'm here with professional dominatrix, Justine Cross, also the owner of Dungeon East and West in LA.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. But I was actually in a Clubhouse sex worker room today that they were complaining about Bella Thorne. Like she gets to have her Instagram. She gets to say, go check out my OnlyFans, but other sex workers can't, or actual sex workers can't promote their OnlyFans, and like how just insane it is. And then also trying to discuss like what would solutions be, stuff like, moderation versus AI and all that jazz. What's been your experience with social media? You seem to have your accounts, intact. I don't think you were shadow banned when I looked you up.
I'm knocking on wood. Yeah, I mean, so much to say. All my socials are still there. The last time I checked, you can follow me on Twitter and Justine Plays, and Instagram is the Justine Cross. And I'm also on Clubhouse, which is my new favorite app. I'm also on TikTok. Not quite sure I get it yet, but yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to keep like 2 to 3 steps ahead and making sure that like my social media is compliant with what they are now having as their new terms of service and also what they're enforcing on different platforms. And the problem is that, this is unevenly enforced, as we see with, our the Drumpf, if you will. I always call him Drump.
Is it nice to see the president of the United States finally silence like a sex worker? Like,
well, yes and no. I think I think and this is what I've been saying the whole time, is that, like platforms should have terms of services and they should be enforced, but they should be clear and evenly enforced. And the problem is that, someone who is inciting violence on a federal level wasn't immediately silenced, which should have happened, years before. But then someone the kink.com, account, they got like a warning for having someone in bondage on their header. And so it's like, well, what are the rules? Like, how are we enforcing them? Like, what's the same? And it's like, as you were saying about Bella Thorne and like certainly many other celebrities that are having these really big accounts and promoting OnlyFans on their social media and being like total epic dicks about it. I never Bella Thorne and her sister are super trashy people and they don't care. And not only do they not care when people try to talk to them about what's happening, they responded with such vitriol. It was really like sad and just disgusting. And their photos are really obviously badly photoshopped. So there's my shade on that.
That's something I don't think I've actually has come up yet, is all the accounts that just went down recently. Do you want to tell people about what like just recently happened on Twitter?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, what recently happened on Twitter is a lot of accounts got deleted. And because we're all sex workers, we thought, oh my God, is it all us? It wasn't all us. Amberly Rothfield has done a lot of research on this, and with the help of another person, Jane Boone, who I want to give shout outs to because they're very wonderful women. So they did a lot of research on, Jane Boone.
Her episode comes out tomorrow.
Oh, she's so great. Oh my God. She's gonna be like so famous that I'm like, no, I had her first. I saw her first. I did an Insta live with her. I loved her book. It was so, so great. She's like a really lovely person. So
I'm really glad to hear that, by the way, because like she reached out to me. So like it looked, she knew some people and this, that. And I was like, okay, I think this fits. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But I haven't read the book myself yet. So I'm glad to know it's actually like a good book and people should check it out.
Yeah, it is actually really good. People should check it out. I understand that we're all a little gun shy because of like really bad sex worker memoir and like BDSM stories just being shitty. It's a really good book. I laughed. I read it. I'm a very fast reader. I read it in like 3 hours. I loved it. It's so good. You should read it.
Okay.
So anyway, so they did all these like studies on like what was happening, and yes, people are getting deleted, but it's not. It seems to be for things that people are doing to violate terms of service that were always against their terms of service, but they're just starting to enforce those things. Like
ban evasion stuff. And
yeah, ban evasion, that will get you kicked off. So don't have more than one Twitter account unless it's completely different. Don't have a backup account. That's bad. And right now, a lot of us have our things going, auto post from our various, platforms like Clips for Sale or OnlyFans. Take off your auto tweets. Don't do that. Just manually tweet it, schedule it, use the Twitter scheduler. Those are the two big ones. And then also just make sure that nothing in your profile and header pic are anything above a PG. Keep that plain. Mm-hmm.
Now, every average Joe Schmo who maybe is like pro sex worker listening to the podcast, but like is rolling their eyes that you and I are right now talking about Twitter terms of service. Ugh, what's the big deal? It's just a Twitter. What's the big deal? What is the big deal about social media when it comes to, access social media with sex work?
Well, Twitter is, in respect to Twitter and sex work, Twitter is kind of our last platform where they've sort of cared the least about various things, which, in some ways has been good for us because we've been able to grow and stay there and be there. But, unfortunately, it's been bad in ways that they haven't enforced, again, other people who broke their terms of service that were inciting violence in truly harmful ways to our very republic. Like that's not. Like that's real too. So again, it's just like, let's have this enforced evenly and let's be really clear about this, about what, what they want to have on their platform or what they don't. And also to allow people to, I find it very interesting that much smaller sites and platforms that are adult platform related, like I Want Clips for Sale or other things like that, they will just tell you what is not allowed. They'll say, oh, you can't use this word, or, oh, you can't use this in your, your image. This can't be in the clip.
Don't
But
even be
social,
like, hey, you can pee, but you just can't pee on someone, right? Like, don't get that
right.
specific.
They're very, very specific. And I always make the joke, like, whenever like Clips for Sale or whatever company comes up with like the next list of words that's banned, it's like, who's in this meeting with like a bunch of suits? Like, hey, Jim, can we circle back to, pissing on you? Like, what is that? Anyway,
Yeah, where
so,
is the line with piss, Joe?
right.
Where's the line?
Where's the line? So, I mean, it's all coming from credit card processors, of
Sure,
course.
sure.
But again, it's like, why don't we have access to their internal document of what's allowed and not allowed? And again, I want to say, because I work with a lot of big branded companies, and especially in regards to Instagram, they also are inconsistent with them. I work with huge companies that have their verified check. They have millions of followers. And even they tell me, oh, we get shadow banned. We have problems all the time with what they allow and what they don't. They'll flag us for this, but then sometimes not for this. And, it's very difficult. And of course, various other things play into it, like racism and fat phobia and Islamophobia and things like that. So
yeah, but now, what is the importance of social media for sex workers in the current day?
mm-hmm. Yeah, well, social media for sex workers in the current day, especially now during the global pandemic, it's our way to reach our clients and to be visible and connect with everyone. Everyone who's listening to this who is a sex worker, I hope you have your own website. But this is a way for us to engage also with our community. And again, like social media for me, it is business, it is social, but a lot of the things that I do with my social media don't even have to do with sex work. I'm working with other, like I'm working with Yandy and other sponsors and stuff like that to sell product. It's not just me.
Well, like, let's say someone either wanted to hire somebody, or maybe even if you're brand new, if sex workers are off of social media, weren't allowed, they're all kicked off, the way many fear that really will happen. Where would one be able to advertise or obtain new clients?
Oh, I mean, I don't even know, because I honestly haven't advertised in years. I mean, I think Trist is happening, a decentralized platform. I mean, sex work is the oldest profession. We're not going anywhere. If we get deplatformed from one thing, like Tumblr was a big problem, and, that didn't, a lot of these things haven't personally affected me, like Tumblr or like Pornhub, but they affect people in my community. So it's like, people are just going to Google something, and find it that way, I would assume. I mean,
Well,
I'm very,
yeah. Well, I think what I was trying to get at was that the importance of it is, like, it's kind of the only place y'all can kind of start to build audience and have clientele find y'all in that way, because you don't have, it's not as simple as like a back page of Craigslist. You have to know where the escort site is, or, you have to like happen to stumble upon a certain performer instead of being able to like be discovered via tweets or Instagram or whatever. It's, the way I see it from outside is that it would be detrimental to lose social media, because I don't know, like, when people hit me up and say, hey, I was looking to hire this, or my husband, I want to get my husband an experience like this, they'll be like, where do I go? And now I tell them to go to Twitter. I tell them to go. I said, they're all on Twitter. They will have their tour dates, their websites, all, like, that's where you got to go. And I wouldn't even know where to direct them if y'all lost that.
Well, I hope you have your own website and your own mailing list.
I do. But manwhorepod.com, people, under construction, but you can sign up for the mailing list there, so you never lose me. So how long have you been a Dom?
Like over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you get started?
As a professional, I moved out to California after I graduated from college, and I knew a couple of pro doms like in Philly and New York. And then I just Googled Los Angeles and dungeon and just started working at a PDSM dungeon, and was working there for about a year in a house situation. And then I went independent. So just moving to just doing what I'm doing now, and then getting Dungeon West and doubling down and getting Dungeon East. Yeah.
How long have you owned both the two venues, roughly?
Well, Dungeon West, I owned for almost 10 years, actually. So I guess, yeah, wow, I've been a Dom like way over 10 years. I need to update that. How old am I? I don't know. But we did have to close Dungeon West on October 15th because of COVID.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, but it was the only thing to do. And, I had that other dungeon. So I still have Dungeon East, and that is open. We've been open the whole time because we're able to do it safely, but we are definitely not allowing any group classes, no parties. People have asked. I don't even allow my equipment to be rented for parties right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, very, very limited production. So it's pretty much just private couples right now. But again, that's something that I know that we can do safely, even during quarantine right now. So we're doing COVID, whatever this is this time.
Right. Well, one, good for you for like cock blocking people who are like, hey, can we at least rent the cross? Like good. Good. I'm happy to hear that. But
you no idea what I'm cock blocking. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but in general, like what were the, last year, what were the, like, where does BDSM dungeons, being a dominatrix, where does that fall in with all the COVID regulation and legality? Because y'all already operated in kind of a different legal space than, say, full service sex workers or, massage gals or whatever.
Well, California and the government never really has a problem taking my money. So I guess I'm allowed to continue to operate. It's very important to pay your taxes, everyone. Pay your taxes. I just paid a lot today. Anyway, well, the thing is that for me, what I saw was happening and I realized how bad this was going to be. I immediately switched everything in my business that was probably 85% dependent on in-person stuff, whether that was for the dungeon or for myself, because I'm running like 3 businesses concurrently, myself, West and East. I switched everything to online. So no parties, no classes, all of that, everything.
No sessions.
No, I didn't do, I did a couple, I did very, very limited, but I just sort of like didn't feel like good about that. I did like really only a couple with like regulars. And now I'm like, I don't know if and when I'm ever going to go back to in-person sessions. Yeah. So anyway, so I moved everything to online, which was great. Good for me. And so just, created so many new classes. I produced an event, LA Kink Pride, because it was like June and everyone's like, oh, I guess we can't do anything. Okay. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. I guess I'm a masochist. I don't know. Didn't know that about myself until like quarantine happened, but here we go. So did all that. But then, even with everything that I was doing, it just, it didn't make sense to keep West open because there just weren't enough rentals and I wasn't using it. And I'm like, oh, wow, let me, you got to call the fleet here or whatever. So
yeah. How did the community take the closing of a dungeon? I imagine there are not many in the first place.
No, there are not. And there's going to be a lot less in the next few months because everyone is throwing up GoFundMes and they're in really dire straits, unfortunately. And, but I mean, already, Ariana's space closed in New York City. Yeah. So, I mean, it was sad. And I think it was also just like, everyone was just so sad because like, there's just been so much sadness and closures and deaths. Like so many of my like favorite restaurants have closed permanently in Los Angeles and stuff like that. Like, I've lost several people in my circle due to COVID or just other things related, just in general. So I think people are just like, oh, but now you and like, but it's like, I still have Dungeon East, we had a big sale. Everyone made out with like all my panties, all my latex, all my shoes. Wow, moving is really easy when you just sell everything. I highly recommend it. So, and it was interesting though, because when we had the sale, which had to be in person, but again, it was very, very safely done. I asked so many people like, oh, have you been here before? Because it's hard to see people with their mask on and it's been a year and they're like, no, I haven't been here. And I said, oh, well, that's why we're closing, because you weren't here. And they're all like, oh. So I'm like, well, you better come to the next dungeon. Otherwise, I'm going to be saying the same thing to you. And, anyway, so it's, people understood. They were just really surprised that I held on to 2 for so long anyway. So, but I have the other dungeon. So.
Mm-hmm. And so last year, all of my episodes that had sex workers, whether porn stars, doms, whatever, they were actually all recorded before the pandemic. So I haven't really gone into discussing like how sex workers have been moving on to online, all going virtual, and what that looks like, and like how that's been, and what, has it been better or worse, or a different type of neutral? So what was that transition like, going from all the in-person stuff, the parties, the in-person classes, sessions, etc., to virtual? And what did those look like? What were you offering? What didn't work?
Well, it was a learning curve, to be sure. I mean, I think that for me, like I've been in this industry for over 10 years. So I've always dabbled in these online things like, phone and cam and clips and stuff like that. But I never really did much with it. So it was like, what happened was in the beginning for the first few months, my partner, I said, we need to just work together and, fire this up because, we can make the most money doing this. So I had her redo every single one of my websites. It was just kind of like getting like, the wheel cranking again, but also just like, changing the wheels on a moving bus. It's hard. So, but I mean, we developed all these new classes. I even taught a class specifically for sex workers who are moving from in real life to virtual, even though it was something I was learning myself at the same time, because it wasn't about how to make a lot of money at these platforms. It was literally just, how do I do everything that I've been doing in person to online? Because there's so many people who maybe they've done something online like a little bit, but a lot of like real-time DOMs, like they only do real time. Like I had a 20-year veteran in my class who's very well respected. She's like, I just never understood how to do this. And now thank you for explaining this to me. I just made $600 tonight. And I'm like, why, thank you. That's what I want to hear.
And so what did it look like? What when you're moving the party, like, are you moving parties online and doing like the Zoom thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, for classes, we moved all of those online immediately, and we did them on Zoom and Crowdcast, and classes translated really well for obvious reasons. So we were able to do, I do classes that are more lecture style. So that's very easy for me to do. And my partner does the classes that are practical. So she's doing bondage and flogging. So that requires video if you can. So that translated. I didn't do any events except for just kind of LA King Pride, which was mostly like classes and like a dance party and stuff like that. But because I didn't know how to do it, I wasn't sure. But I don't know when this is coming out, but it's my birthday in when we're recording this, it's my birthday this weekend. So I'm doing the first virtual play party called BDS or Cyber BDSM. And I'm teaming up with a lot of my friends who put on Cyber Clown Girls, and they're all strippers from Jumbo's Clown Room. So we're having...
I'm sorry, we have to back up. One, who's Jumbo? And then what's their clown room?
So Jumbo's Clown Room, you didn't go there when you were in LA? Well, I'm sorry.
Is it a strip club?
Yeah, it's a strip club.
I'm not a strip club guy.
You're not a strip club guy? Oh, but this is fun. This is like the fun. It's like a really tiny like space, and it's like a bikini bar, so you can
like
drink.
I would go to a strip club like with people for a thing, but like I've realized I went once in college and I was like, oh, it was fun. It wasn't bad. It just was like, oh, this is not going to be for me with this price point and all that stuff. And then like I went again about a year ago with my now ex, and again had fun, but I'm like, oh, I would like, this is not how I would spend my money. Like she bought the lap dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jumbo's is more like artist and like Suicide Girls. Not that that's really relevant now, but it's like that. It's that kind of vibe. Cool. Yeah, it's like we'll go. What do you do? What's today? Tuesday? We can go to Cyber Clown Girls tomorrow night if you want.
Oh,
see if you like that. So sure. Anyway, so I'm teaming up with them, which is it's a really good collaboration because it's doing something virtually. It's like it needs to be a little bit more performance based. It's like the play party. What was so great about it, BDSM that I've been throwing for, I think like 7 years now, is a play party for cis and trans women. So just creating a safe space for women only. You don't have to identify as queer or gay, but you will be when you leave. But just creating that. So I'm hiring people who are performers and who've done this a lot for the last year to do more BDSM strip teases, and I'm going to be there and I'm going to perform a couple of things myself, and then also just kind of do check-ins with like various like I have my dungeon here, so Dungeon West has been transformed into my condo.
It all just sounds so like tiring. It's not like, between the social media stuff we talked in the beginning, which like some people would call frivolous, and yet with like it's so vital to the business, to transferring things to online, teaching yourself, like, I don't know, Photoshop, and people are learning video editing because they never needed to before. And,
Mhm.
like, how are you holding up with all that?
Well, I'm very lucky, and I have a really supportive, loving partner, family, friends. I'm doing very well for myself. I have a really great therapist. Oh,
sorry to interrupt. Just to
mhm.
clarify, so I can follow. When you keep saying partner, is that like a romantic partner or a business partner, or it sounds like maybe they're intertwined?
Oh no, my romantic partner, my
Gotcha,
nesting
gotcha,
partner, my live-in partner, my main squeeze.
gotcha.
But she's also someone who occasionally, does some work for me. So, and teaches classes. But yeah, so anyway, but so it's like a lot. But I just want everyone to know, it's like, yeah, I'm back in weekly therapy because let's normalize taking care of our mental health. And for especially for sex workers, there's Pineapple support out there, and I know it's hard, but I have a lot of support. I'm really okay, and all of this stuff is still really, really hard. It is so hard, and it's tough. And I'm just glad that I have support, and I know I can reach out to people if I need extra support and stuff like that. But this is like a hard, weird year. Like, I've had to move my business, I've had to move my house, I've closed one brick and mortar location. I'm still like fine and okay, like, but it is like hard out there. Like, it's okay if you're like, ah, and then just like, face planted to the pillow. Like, it's hard out there.
Before pre-pandemic, then what would you say was the most difficult event or issue in your doming career?
I don't really,
or obstacle?
really.
None? Been smooth. It's been a smooth sailing decade.
It really has been pretty smooth sailing. I mean, I think there's just always like, I think it's just, it's like you run into people and you're like, oh God, you suck. And then you're just like, I don't want to be around you anymore. And I'm so glad I don't have to run into those people. The people you're just kind of in peripherally in your circle, and you're just like, oh God, and now you don't got to see them. So it's great. I
definitely
think
some comedians I feel that way about.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there's probably some comedians who feel that way about me. Who knows?
Probably. Yeah, I can't think of anything that I could probably publicly say.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
But I mean, but really nothing that nothing that I could publicly say, but also just because those situations resolve themselves, or I don't want to reignite them in any way. But I mean, just I try to, I'm a very good, problem solver. So I think that, watching the landscape of what's going on, to make sure that you're constantly like a couple steps ahead. I mean, I choose to do sex work every single day. And I don't choose to do sex work because it's like particularly like people really like admire sex work, or like it's like on a pedestal. I do it because I make a lot of fucking money and I love what I'm doing, and I can do this safely. And I'm so lucky and privileged and happy that like my business and also that of my partners, we can do our businesses completely online. So we've been so incredibly safe, especially here in Los Angeles, which, I mean, I know you're in New York, so you got hit very hard. We've been in very strict quarantine lockdown since the beginning, and the cases are very high. So
yeah, I'm not fucking around. There's a fuck buddy 7 blocks away. I'm not seeing her yet. I was like, I got a glory hole, and that's about it. That is my own.
That's good. That's good. That is safe. That is a safe thing. Yeah.
I listen to my local government, and if they say use a physical barrier, if they put out the official document, you know what? I'll use that as the excuse, not because I'm a total perv. That's fine.
That's good.
Have you done sessions virtually, like? Because I imagine, like full service workers, very difficult to do a virtual session, but I figure there's certain ways to dom over cam.
Yeah, I mean, I am doing a lot of virtual sessions. I'm doing them via text, via phone, and cam. So all of them. Yeah.
Right. But as a dom, like, are you for example, like, are you instructing a sub to say, like, if you normally would have flogged the sub, like, are you instructing them to flog themselves? Like, are you getting creative with how to do the actual BDSM, remotely?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it is instructional, like I'm having them do certain things for me or to themselves, but sometimes it's just talking them through a fantasy of what would happen if I was there because they don't have like things there. And, I'm talking about like, I'm going to collar you and you have to lick my boots and, things like that. So it just really depends. But honestly, I still find that so much of it is just talking to people who just want to have like a conversation. And it sometimes it's not even about BDSM or domination. It's just really about a connection and talking. And I miss my really old, not old, well, they're old, my longtime clients. And I really, really miss them. And it's, everything got so shuffled up where some people have less time and money and access to their favorite, sex worker. And some people have more. So it's just like this really weird or just really interesting reshuffling of everything that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm. How long is your like longest Dom sub client relationship?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, my slave that, I don't know if I'd call him my slave anymore. He's just kind of like, my favorite uncle or something. No, we just celebrated our like slave anniversary. Like, well, cause he comes to Thanksgiving now, it's like that. Like he's like part of my family,
That's beautiful.
He's great. Like my vanilla and kink friends are just like, oh my God, I need a Jack. He's the best. He baked bread even before the quarantine did it. He was that cool. He like grinds his own like wheat anyway. So we just celebrated our slave anniversary and that was 9 years. But I think like the person that I've been seeing that I've known the longest, oh my God, like when did maybe 2000, since 2007 or 8? Gosh, that's like, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that's so from like the beginning. So, they always
it's like
come
knowing
back
someone from
around.
high school.
It is like knowing someone from high school. I'd always used to joke because it's like when we'd go to like foot night or something, because you just see the same people like for years and you're like, oh, that guy is kind of like your uncle because you just see him like once a year, might be a few years. And then you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? It's the same. You want to worship my feet? Okay. Oh, they always come back around. They always come back around.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so you mentioned earlier you're doing the classes. Do you have a favorite class that you've been doing during quarantine?
I really love the classes that I've been doing for sex workers because that was something new that I didn't do before. And that felt really good because I felt like I was really helping people in my community. And I'm like, I want you to make lots of fucking money, bitch. And, they are. So that was really
talk
cool.
Y'all do hyping each other up like in the clubhouse room is in other places is so fun to watch. You're all just like, it's like watching Wolf of Wall Street, but with, sex workers just be like, we're going to make so much fucking money.
You have to tell me which ones you're going to. I'm going to follow you on Clubhouse. But
I'll pay
we'll have to hook up on there. But so that's been really good. But and the class that I think has done the most that I've sold the most from is exploring your dominant persona. Mm-hmm. And it sounds really silly, but I've never done not like silly. I just never had to because I was doing other things.
That's not silly. I need to take that class.
Dominant, you do. I'll send you a link. It's just about how to. It's not like to be a professional dom or anything, but it's just how to be a dominant,
tap
into that. So that has sold like a fuck ton. I think, a lot. I think it's like sold over like 100 over the last, like I've done it like twice live. And then I have all my classes up on Gumroad. So you can always catch the replay there. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, you wouldn't want to give all the secrets, but like, can you share one example of how you can tap into that more dominant persona? Because I'm more of I can be switchy. I lean on the submissive side, but hey, look, you need me to butch it up. I can fucking do it to the best of my ability.
Well, I think that it's sort of finding and tapping into that place where you feel like you can dominate. And I think that generally for women, we're always told to be submissive in some way and not to yell, not to shout, not to be powerful because you're punished by being powerful. And here I tell people like, no, like people want to worship you as the dominant. And then people are like, oh, wait a minute, people want to worship me. I'm like, yes, it is a fucking privilege to worship my feet as the dominant. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's exciting. So, but there always has to be a sub. So as long as you have a sub, then you can figure out how to be a dominant. So.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the other like classes you do for sex workers?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm working a lot with Sex Panthers. So we've done a couple of classes together because they didn't have any. And I really like that platform a lot. And especially right now, because you can, even though it started with just texting and also has such a great name, they also do phone and they also have cam now. So it's great because you can just can right through their app and platforms, so that's great. And then when you get tips, there's little hearts that come up on your screen, so it's fun. So I'm doing that. And then I actually just did a class with kink.com for about Instagram for sex workers. So that went over really well, and at least it gave people hope, because it's been so like stressful, I feel like, for us getting deplatformed. And I just wanted to give people hope, but also like let them know like, hey, I've seen so many people do like things on social media that I'm just like not surprised if you get deleted. It's unfortunate, but you gotta play by their rules. So except for on your site. So
Are you noticing like people quit and just be like, you know what, this whole virtual thing, I'm out. I'm gonna find something else to do for work, or I'm gonna get back in after the shot.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that it's real, and I'm definitely casting like side eye. I'm not talking about survival sex workers. Like, I'm talking about people who, like, I absolutely know for a fucking fact make bank online, and they're seeing people in person anyway. And I just think that's like a really dangerous choice. Like, it's just not the safest one, and it's not the best one that you can do or make, and it's not really sending a good message to like how you take care of yourself and how you take care of like people around you and your client. Like, cause like, look, I get it. We all miss doing things in person. And, like I said at the beginning, there are some people that I've seen in person and I decided not to. There's certainly ways that we can do this safer
I thought
than
doming,
not
by
as
the
safe.
way, I thought doming was going to continue in person because you could like literally do so many things from the distance. And like half the time, it seems like somebody's wearing a mask just for the kink of it.
Mm-hmm. No, you definitely could. Yeah, you can definitely be. There are definitely ways to carry out work, whether that's sex work or like, being in a hair salon, that are safer than not. Obviously, doing temperature checks and making sure everyone's wearing a mask the whole time, for sure. But for example, like, I literally can't do any foot fetish appointments because someone wants to worship my feet. And like, that requires not having a mask. And when I explain that to them, they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, but the mask is not on your face anymore because my foot is your mask, so they get excited. That's my feet are a thrill. So, I mean, I always do reference checks for people when they ask me and stuff. And I remember talking to someone, it's like, I'm seeing people going on tours and I'm like,
Blows my mind.
I'm like, is that like the best choice? Is that the best choice? Because it's like, and I also think that like there's a lot of sex worker, outreach organizations that like aren't helping people as much as they could because they're not encouraging them to like do things online. And online is also has its, this flip side of like, well, okay, but then there's an electronic paper trail, and yes, you have to file taxes on it. And like that's a reality too. And I just hope that people are really looking at all the different options and truly making the best and safest options for them. But I mean, COVID is real and it's not going away, and it's getting worse before it gets better. So let's just remember that. But yeah, I mean, I think that, look, I straight up said I made more money last year than I did the year before because of doing online things and switching my business over. So, that's a reality, but I also worked my ass off and have 2 part-time assistants, but it was a lot of fucking work.
I want to get back to that in a moment, but on the providers who are doing just fine online, the ones who are irresponsibly going out still and don't necessarily have to, do you think they're almost like using the client work as their means for other human contact, and then they get to use the job as the excuse?
I don't know, because I'm not like that close to those people that I could be like, hey girl, what's up? What's going on here? And it's like, but I hope that, again, and like I said before, this is such a hard time. I miss seeing clients in person too. I miss seeing my friends. I miss traveling. Like, we get it. We all fucking miss it. But I hope that, like, I hope that people are finding ways to cope in ways that are as safe as possible. Like if you're missing a human connection, like, do you have friends? Like, I mean, do you get the impression sometimes that like some people just don't have friends? And like, I mean, usually this is
I mean, as
demonstrated
one
in
of
like,
those people, yes, 100%.
do you not
That's,
have friends? Do you not? Is
I
that why
don't
you're in
know.
Clubhouse all the time? You're like, Clubhouse people are real. They're my friends. They're my friends. What are you doing today, Clubhouse? Every single
It was
night.
because it's because you get to actually be with the group. Like, you know, I have friends I can talk to and hang out with one-on-one, but like in Clubhouse, you can at least like have the group chat. And that like felt so new and novel and different than, you know, what I usually get to do. But just like for as much as I hear people bitch and moan about clients, then why take the risk to hang out, to fuck with people who you probably don't even fucking like?
Well, they probably fucking like them, and I hope they're giving them a lot of fucking money. I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of people have like, a lot of, possibly bad or not so good reasons for doing these things. And it's like, I was just watching, our Bible. It's like our news that happened like 6 months ago. Then we watch it played out on TV with Olivia Benson, like Law and Order SVU, and you Law and
Wait,
Order SVU. But
well, I know that that's a show. The thing you said right before it, I don't think I
oh,
caught.
it's like they literally do talk about
You
stuff that
said
happened.
Bible. I lost you at
Oh,
Bible.
well, yeah. Oh, okay. We don't have to say the B word if it's like no, I just mean that it's like, no,
Well, just
I just meant that like, the show does tend to be, like progressive and defend sex workers, but it's also like a lot of, I mean, the headlines and storylines are taken from things that actually happen. So
Okay.
it's some, and that's what I mean. So, but I was catching up on Law and Order SVU, and they were talking about this, like, what is it like it's like not NYU. It's like what is the mythical college they have? It's like Hudson or something, whatever. Anyway, from there, who knows? I guess you don't watch it. Okay. So anyway, but whatever it is, the college student that's like, the really NYU. And she said all the other roommates were upset with her because it was during COVID and she's just hooking up with people. And she said this line that I thought was really important. She said, well, I knew it was wrong. I knew it was risky, but I just felt so dead inside that it just didn't matter to me. And I think that's real for a lot of people where, I mean, we all know we all make bad decisions. Like we all have that extra shot of tequila and we're like, no. But here, like the consequences, like the risk factor is so much higher where you're potentially harming yourself, possibly killing yourself, somebody else. And it's also just, the harm could be damage that's for the rest of your life. And that's like a different risk than like doing some mystery coke in the bathroom, like that's
right.
Like,
the more I'm reading, the more we have been learning about potential post-COVID effects, like on your, lungs and shit. I'm like, what? No pussy is worth that, is it? I mean, okay, well, maybe Sarah, because it really fantastic, covers my face. But everyone, like, really, I don't need to take that risk. It will be here when we're out. Like, see the orgy posts on Reddit or to hear about some of the, maybe irresponsible parties going on in Brooklyn, with clubs that feature 4 letters that are not BDSM.
Yeah, I know they're happening in LA too. In LA, the LAPD shut down like multiple parties that had hundreds of people.
And it's just like orgies will be here. I hope to throw one or two.
Be there for you. Maybe this is culling the herd. It's like, we don't want those people at our orgy anyway, like, ugh. So, I mean, I think that it's really hard, but I think that there are so many other safe ways to engage and find these things that we can do that aren't going to be potentially harming you or someone else that is close to you. And look, like I said, I get it. It is all so hard, but it is going to be so much harder if you hurt yourself or like you hurt somebody else. Don't kill your client, so. Yeah, it's disturbing that there's parties happening.
And then we have to like figure out how to live with those people when this is done. Like, it's like to see the people who like the comics who are doing indoor stand-up shows. It's like, I gotta go be on a show with them when this is all over. Like I'm gonna have to be in green room. And there's too many for me to hold the line as like a red line for me. So I'm just going to have to like accept like, these are people who don't care about the health of other people. And I just have to like kind of hang out with, Jim and accept that about him.
I would work that shit into your routine and roast the fuck out of them. That's what I would do. I have unfollowed people. I have argued with people because I don't fucking care. Like, I'm one of those people who has like plenty of spoons and like, I'm like, I don't care. I will do this all day with you. It is like no problem to me because very early on, one of my closest friends, like brother died of this and he was a father of four and he deserved better. And I will always fight for him because like this is just bullshit. And like I will not forget the people who did these things. I'm glad I don't have to see them for a year, but I will not forget the people who I see doing these things that are unsafe. And like, no, you will forever not be invited to my parties. Like you forever will have to do a reckoning. We will have to have a fucking accountability conversation that I might not even want to have with you. Like we're all in the same fucking place here, but like, because but we're not all in the same place because a bunch of us were wearing our masks and washing our hands, which, oh my God, I am so disgusted about how many people did not wash their hands or regularly disinfect shit in the first place. The mask thing is new for some of us. Okay, I get it. But everything else, were you not washing your hands before? Like,
Not 30 seconds, not for a whole Lizzo verse, you know? What was your hand washing song?
Well, Golden Girls, of course.
Yours going good. Mine was why men great till they gotta be great. Whole thing. First verse and chorus. That's how I knew I was clean.
That's good. Well, one of my friends is a trans man. And in the beginning of this, he fully disclosed, he said, I am the only man who I ever see washing my hands in the bathroom. In the beginning, before we got shut down, he's like, I can't tell you. He's like, I've never had to wait to wash hands. And yes, men are actually really this disgusting. And I'm like, thanks. Ill.
I am going as someone who is not a every time in the bathroom wash hands person. I am with a penis. I'm going to throw this out there in that if I'm at a urinal, I am able to unzip my fly, shake the dick out of the pants, urinate, shake it back in and zip up, never having touched my genital region. So I do not believe that I now need to take time to sing Lizzo at the sink, because I was like, I actually have not hurt, like there's no damage done. That's the way I view it.
Oh, but you didn't have to touch the handle? There's no flush thing?
The urinals, you can do an elbow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or like a forearm if I miss. But I don't know. That's just me.
Are you a new man now? Are you gonna?
I mean, I am I wash a lot. I wash my hands for much longer than I ever did before. We'll say that. That's definitely the routine.
You're coughing a lot. I'm a little worried. When is this coming out? Make sure. No.
Before we go, what do you think the world of dungeons and being a professional dominatrix, where do you think the world of sex work is going to be post COVID? What do you think's gonna go back to a normal? What do you think might be here to stay?
Well, unfortunately, I think a lot of spaces are going to close because they just can't afford to keep them open. So more spaces like dungeons are going to close, but spaces will come back. Right. Sex workers will be here forever. I think it's going to be a while before we can have something like a play party or orgy again safely. I was kind of hoping for maybe the end of this year, depending on the vaccine rollout, but really just depending on the vaccine rollout and what that's like. But again, I'm just going to continue to do things online as long as I need to. And it's also been really wonderful in terms of like connecting with people who don't have a kink community or coming from rural places. Like outside of LA and New York, there's this whole other place called the rest of our country. And also just the world where, they haven't been able to find events or at the time that they want to. So that's been really wonderful to connect. So I'm thinking I'll probably continue to do certain online things, but yeah, of course I miss people, but I mean, I just want to be able to do it safely when we can. Sex work is here to stay. Establishments like unfortunately, there's going to be a hiccup, but they'll come back because there's going to be plenty of spaces that are open. Commercial real estate is going to be so cheap for when we can recreate and then we can rebuild, so.
All right. Well, Justine, where can people go to learn more about you, to follow you, to take some of your classes? I know I got a lot of sex worker listeners. Where do they go?
Yeah. Well, please always just memorize and go to my main website, which is losangelesdominatrix.com. And
How long you had that one? That's a good one.
Oh, I know, a really long time. I really cashed in early on SEO. So yes, you can always find me there. And then you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse as the Justine Cross. And my Twitter is Justine Plays. And so I run all the live classes are always through Eventbrite. You can always find that on Eventbrite. And then anything that you've missed, including the sex worker classes, they are all up on Gumroad. So you can find them all there.
Whenever you do decide to stop being a pro dom, selling that URL is going to be the nice little retirement present to yourself.
You would think so, but like I've been sitting on a lot of URLs and like no one really wants to buy them. But it's like, yeah, I've never been successful at selling any of the URLs that I've been sitting on for a while. So
I am shocked.
Well, we'll see about Los Angeles Dominatrix. It's interesting because I started that so long ago and I'm sort of, even now, I'm moving away from that. That's not really who I am anymore because I'm in Los Angeles, but that doesn't mean dick when I'm global. Like I'm online and I'm expanded more than, just a dominatrix. So,
you're a global brand. You need globaldominatrix.com.
Well, I know. Well, I don't know. I don't even want the dominatrix part so much. I'm so much more, but I own my name, so that's fine. And, there we go. But
well, there you go. Justine, thanks for making time with us and chatting today. And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Goodbye.
Definitely go follow Justine Cross on the Twitters. Folks, I am on the platforms. I'm pretty much anywhere doing anything you could probably want me to do. I am now on the Tiki-Talkie at the Billy Procida. I am on Clubhouse now, having really fun conversations in various rooms. Same handle at the Billy Procida. You'll find a link to all my platforms down in the show notes. You'll also find my email address should you want to send me your thoughts, your questions, your comments, your criticisms. Send any and all of that on over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Love hearing from you. And if you have thoughts about this week's particular episode, go join our Discord server and pop on into the episode 370 Justine Cross channel. Let us know what you thought about my guest. Let me know what you thought about virtual doming, BDSM, anti-sex social media rules, all of it. Just go on in there and start a conversation. Again, you can join our free Discord server at manwhorepod.com/Discord. Next week, everybody, we've got a really funny comic on. I got a fellow fuckboy, Clint Coley, will be on the show. That one's a really good one. I don't think you're going to want to miss it. I do think you are, though, going to want to you see, the songs are just stuck in my head. No, I'm kidding. But look, ma, no hands. Stay slutty. HotMovies.com has long been an ethical and affordable place to hashtag pay for some of your porn. Now with Hot Movies Select, customers gain access to unlimited viewings of tens of thousands of additional films from all their favorite studios for the low, low price of $24.95. Visit HotMovies.com, click Select Unlimited, and use promo code MANWHORE at checkout so they know who sent you.